Well, I'm in my room now, and yeah, I'm in my room now. I was in the bathroom earlier. I feel like I might just connect those two parts and cut this out. I'm wasting time. Anyways, people aren't really inclined to a thought. Your mind should serve you, not the other way around. Because when you have to serve your mind, I mean, that's what makes a cult leader a cult leader. They think that these thoughts come from God, when some thoughts don't necessarily come from God. Some thoughts are just conjured up out of an urge, out of an emotion, and they think that they need to execute that emotion at God's will. And that's how cult leader rapes children and cuts off their arms and sits there and say, "Hey, well, God told me to do that." When that's not how it works. God's not a bad person. God will never be a bad person. Now, his methods will definitely appear very unorthodox to us as humans, but it's not necessarily, he's never doing anything to hurt you, like, directly, you know? But life should never be easy either. God gave us free will, you know? The freedom to make our own decisions, the freedom to act on those decisions, you know? But God doesn't have control over us. I feel like a lot of people believe that God is like this giant puppet master that controls the meat puppet, which would be our bodies, but that's not how it is. And it'll never really be that way. Just not who he is. I feel like I feel like I feel like there's a tie to it though. Like we're tied to God in a way through consciousness. Because I feel like consciousness is a little, I feel like if I were to explain God or define God, I would define him as an entity that is entirely aware of the universe. And that consciousness is that inner voice, that awareness of the universe, and that we as humans have the power to psychologically tune ourselves into consciousness to literally become conduits for God. But in order to do that, you have to know that like that person follows morals. You have to follow morals if it's going to work. You can't do it with any like murky sense of emotions, because emotions they're sort of like water, but emotions, if I were to describe emotions, they're the inner representation of water, and it's what allows you to feel. And when something feels dirty, it feels dirty. Sometimes it's a good dirty, sometimes it's a bad dirty. Sometimes it's a clean, sometimes it's clarity. Sometimes it's a good clarity, sometimes people abuse that clarity. If you've ever watched American Psycho, that would be one of them. But yeah, consciousness I believe is an attribute of God, and that we can technically become God after death, but of our own versions, you know? Our own versions, but just one with all of the universe, which includes one with all of those other gods, you know? I feel like people like Jesus became a god after death. People like Buddha became a god after death. People like René Descartes, even, or Martin Luther King. Those were people who followed through with their morals and their consciousness, and they helped revolutionize the world. They changed it with just statements alone. They changed it with just words. Some people, some of those people ended up dying to change the world. Jesus died to cleanse us of our sins. MLK died so that white people and black people wouldn't fight anymore. And even though racism is still a thing, it's not like as bad as it used to be. You know? So I mean, I feel like there's a lot. There's a lot of like crazy stuff to the mind. I feel like this world it's only just an illusion. I'm a solipsist, I'll admit, But, our bodies, they're not really our own. Eventually, you lose it. But what side of you loses that entirely? Your consciousness. That's what you are. That is the part that loses the body. You aren't just a physique. And while we're on the topic of physiques, I feel like we need to talk about the ethics of America, especially in today's era, as well as the psychological perception of it. Because, there are dudes out here that base the value of their character off of the size of their dicks. And then there are dudes out here that objectify women and see them as nothing more. And then there are women that objectify men for material. And then there are just the silent women that say nothing. You know? There is something so wrong with all of that. There's a reason why guys stop hitting on women. Because it's like, well, we don't know what to trust anymore. And honestly, what's wrong with women hitting on men? I mean, I guess if they give up too easily, then yeah, but I mean, still, women can hit on men too. It's not just one-sided. It shouldn't just go one way. But I feel like it's just because of society, That's why guys don't hit on women anymore. They don't hit on them because we don't trust them. Nobody wants to get into a relationship about love and then get cheated on. And when guys are sitting there basing the value of their character off the size of their dicks, of course they're going to be scared that that woman is going to cheat. Even if they do sit there and say, oh yeah, 6 inches is enough. Yeah, okay, sure, we'll see. And that's if the motherfucker knows how to use it. All I'm saying. But that's just what's wrong with that. That's why guys don't hit on women anymore. And on top of that, they're all jacking off to other women. A lot of them are addicted to that shit right now. They will spend their last dime on that shit. They have this. It's like I heard one person say that it was like a third of the country that is just dedicated to OnlyFans. And that's just the men. That's just the men's side of it. That are pouring all their money out into that stuff. I feel like they get like 100 million customers every fucking. Well, I don't know. I can't really tell you the time frame or how that works. But point is, it ain't good. Point is, those people are they got life fucked up. But those are my theories on theology. That's my that's the problem with American ethics. You know what? I feel like I should just like walk around a little bit because I feel like walking around and thinking at the same time it helps a lot. Really, it does. And it's good to talk to yourself. It's good to talk to yourself and just be mindful. And when the camera's moving, it feels like it's somewhat alive. So, never mind. Oh shit! What the fuck? It never stopped, or did I just now play it? Yeah, I think I just now started playing it. But yeah. Those are my thoughts on theology and just the world that we live in. I feel like it's important that people start talking, and while I'm here, I feel like it's pretty important to talk about transsexuals and opinions, because I feel like as my own individual of my own conscious will, I feel like I'm definitely obligated to myself to say what I think about that. And if I am being 100% honest, they're humans. There's nothing wrong with that. They don't fuck with my life by doing what they do. And so long as you're human, what's wrong with it? But you still have to question it. Like, you change, like you really, like, it appears pretty extreme to some of us, to a lot of us, that you would change your genders for self-validity. That's crazy to us. That catches people off guard. And now they're trying to push that agenda on children. And that's the only part where I really disagree with them. Because they're just kids. When they grow up and they see that you're doing this and they meet an actual cool fucking transsexual, then yeah, maybe then they'll make the decision. But for now, kids should not have to be getting their gender swapped out or having to take feminine pills to turn them into more girls to kill their testosterone. That shit to me is fucked up beyond reason. That's not an agenda you push on children. You know? And to you guys, it might not seem like it fucking matters, but it does. That's nature right there. It's guys and girls. A dick was made for a vagina. They were made for men. As vaginas were made for women. To us, that matters. To us, that type of nature really does fucking matter. So for you guys to just come up here and say that we're offending you, good. What you're doing is pretty fucking crazy. That's literally all we're trying to say. That stuff is insane. And then you really think you could just come at us with some fucking pronouns and try to change that? Like, no. Dude, that is not how the world works. That's just... What the hell? And while we're sitting here arguing over our genitals, the Chinese is spying on like a fourth of the planet right now through TikTok, and Russia could literally nuke anyone right now. I mean, there are bigger things at hand over you getting your shit switched. Like, there are. That's fucking insane, you know? You aren't the pinnacle of existence, you know? Life isn't supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be a social anarchy. Not everybody has to be the same, and when everybody is the same, that's when people become slaves. Because nobody's thinking, nobody's fighting for anything. We're all just happy everything is perfect now. Things are perfect naturally. Things are perfectly imperfect. They don't need to be, we don't need to be choked up to all these standards. That's one thing I respected about Eminem. He didn't give a fuck. He said whatever the fuck was on his mind. And, man, you just gotta love it. But, I feel like there was something else that I wanted to talk about. That's just, and it's not like I'm against no, I'm not against the trans community. I'm just against their agendas on children and their pronouns. Nobody is obligated to that. And to top it all off, it's a fallacy to sit there and call an individual they. Because they describes multiple people. Or them. Because them describes multiple people. I'm just saying, dude. I'm just saying. It is not an easy life, but they don't respect the nature of things. I don't think. I just don't think transsexuals respect the nature of things. All out of a personal gain. Or an ego, if you want to call it that. But, I'm running out of time, unfortunately. And this is farewell.